Thanks everybody for coming here today, and I've met most of you, but I'm Margaret Okuzumi, Executive Director of Bay Rail Alliance and also a leader of the group Citizens for Sensible Transportation, No on Measures B, C, and D. We're here today to tell the public, tell the voters and the electorate the most distressing news that VTA has been hiding information from the public about the true cost of the proposed BART train to Fremont. Documents that we uncovered through a Public Records Act request made by former Mayor Mark Brodsky of Montessoreno show that VTA has been working on an updated cost. The last time they released a cost was in 2005, where they said the project would cost $4.7 billion. Now, 3 years later, they have not yet released an updated cost. We know they have this figure. They are sitting on this number because if the electorate were to know, if the voters were to know what the true cost is, then it would become very clear that the Measure B tax would not be sufficient for VTA to deliver this project. Furthermore, the documents show that VTA staff have been actively working on the Yes on B campaign illegally, using staff resources and time. And this is most distressing because it's just another manifestation of how little we can trust this agency. When you look at the other measures that VTA has placed on the ballot, measures C and D, and you read the ballot arguments, you will see that measure C, VTA is basically asking voters to trust us, even though they have not delivered a comprehensive transit program for voters to evaluate. And for Measure D, they are asking voters to give up their right to vote on VTA's plans. And they worded their ballot language to deceptively hide this fact from the voters, that a yes vote would remove this right of voters to vote on VTA's plans. We have a number of other speakers here today, and I'd like to give them a chance to speak. I know we're honored to have former MTC Commissioner John McLemore here. He is also a longtime former VTA board member, served on the VTA board for many years. Please welcome John McLemore.
I am against the current tax for several different reasons. And one of them is, of course, in today's economic conditions that have existed for several years in the state of California and now across the nation with the brand new turmoil that's going on. This is not the right time for a 1/8 cent tax. It's like a tiny little drop in the bucket that will not be effective as they say it will be. BART is coming to Santa Clara County with or without this minuscule tax increase someday. And I think it's wrong and incorrect to imply to voters that BART will be blocked if this current tax increase request is denied. The VTA has been 100% focused on building the BART line in total, all or nothing, and has really never reviewed phase planning of BART. As a member of the Caltrain board for 8 years and a member of the Metropolitan Transportation Commission for 8 years, I had to deal many times with the board of directors at BART, and they have continually postponed the Warm Springs extension on the current BART down to Fremont. And every year they postpone that is a bigger burden on the citizens of Santa Clara County. And we've got to go. The BART Board of Directors have shrugged us off here in Santa Clara County and done minimal activities that would support the BART extension from downtown Fremont to the Warm Springs and Santa Clara County line. We're going to have to start to look at phasing BART. In In fact, the politicos that have mentioned in the past the building of BART in 2 phases, one to Berryessa or to Santa Clara Street area at 101 and the Five Wounds Church area, had the political barn door slammed in their face, or the political powers tried to make the roof come crashing down on those who would ever speak such heresy. In private business, I'm accustomed to having a dialogue that looks at all options in an open and constructive way. I rarely saw that during my years in the very local Santa Clara County transportation area. I believe that this, again, is not the right time to put forward a 1/8 tax. It is not beneficial to us in this economic downturn, and any concepts about it'll won't really be here until years down the road is crazy also, considering that we voted 8 years ago for the current BART tax, and we're seeing minimal impact on the building of BART. So with that, I appreciate the time and effort, and especially with Margaret. Thank you.
Next, we have former Monte Sereno Mayor Mark Brodsky, who submitted the Public Records Act request to VTA, which uncovered these very disturbing documents. Mark is also a former member of the VTA Policy Advisory Board.
Hey everybody. I had my first boss in this National Semiconductor had a concept and statement. We do not grade on effort, we grade on performance. And the performance of VTA, of what we know, of what percentage of the riders we can give, as hard as people like Scott here work, they're still only able to deliver 5% of the population into the transit system. Now, it's difficult in suburban environment, but it happens at almost double the rate at 2 other nearby suburban locations. So what's the problem? Well, part of the problem is, how do you measure that performance? And if you're going to hide the numbers from the population, or say, look, let's put it on the ballot, we don't even have to tell you, well then no way we can measure that performance. TJ Rogers down the road says, you know, Silicon's a tough taskmaster. You don't get to vote on the science. You don't get to vote on what's right and wrong and what works and that doesn't work. The numbers are there. Now, if you lie about the numbers, or Howard is beholden to a local political lobbyist to get elected because he's going to bring out the people to man the phone banks and he doesn't answer to the Brown Act, that distorts the political process that people actually voted. And this is the amazing part. I've been to presentations where I've gone to say, here's an alternative analysis, and it was voted not to be heard. And then other false things were said afterwards. This is not the way democracy is supposed to work. We have $4.7 billion to put together a good transportation system. This is a camel's nose under the tent to destroy the possibility we'll ever see a good transportation system. It will denude what we could make of electrified Caltrain. It will denude the shuttle bus network need to support the system. We can't have a system that's 50 years old that says everything must go through downtown San Jose when we have a place like North San Jose where the majority of the jobs are in Silicon Valley. We have to have a better system. We have to rework the system, and by voting no on B, C, and D gives us a chance to send it back to the drawing board and do it right.